Amazing. Um, so Karen, I was just saying thank you again for agreeing to have another interview. You went through these questions many months ago, but anyway, I was curious to also hear what your take is on them now that it's been so long. And so, Karen, remind me, I know we spoke in April. Did you start in May?
I think we started the end of April. I was away
End of
on April
April.
break.
Yep.
Yeah, I was away on April break when I made the phone call to you. And I was done and ready to move forward with a different lifestyle and make some great changes. And so I know it was on our April break. So I think it was like maybe the last week of April that I started. Because it was right as soon as I came home that we started up in the program
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
of a
Um,
year ago.
yes,
Yeah.
right. That's helpful to say as well. So April of 2024.
Yes.
And so maybe I'll kind of ask. So like I said, I'm going to go through the questions that you answered before, and then maybe at the end I'll just kind of like they'll touch on the fact that you've been doing this for over a year, but maybe
Hmm.
we'll just kind of like dig down a little bit more about maybe just how things have changed for you over that year. So, like, in
Okay.
addition to weight, like, so my first question, and maybe this is just gonna like, um, what was life like before fat burning?
So, life before fat burning, so I had been exercising regularly, probably usually about 3 times a week, up until COVID. And then even just after COVID, like maybe in 2022, 23, I resumed playing field hockey in an adult women's league once a week. Um, and so my exercise each week was probably like 3 days a week, I would say, like maybe two, 3 times in a gym, and then the time that I would spend on field hockey. And then I was always very conscious of what I was eating. I had followed with a couple different people, and I was closely watching my macros. I was monitoring them through a fitness app, kind of each week making a layout of what I would eat for the week. And because like my food is pretty straightforward. I would eat the same thing at breakfast and a similar thing at lunch. It was kind of just my dinners that changed. So the app was kind of easy to work with once I got all my stuff uploaded into it. But it was just a tedious thing. Like every Sunday night, I would kind of sit there and plan out my week of my meals. Um, and it just was getting very frustrating because I felt like I was hitting a point where the weight wasn't moving, and even maybe I was gaining weight, and I didn't understand that because I felt like I was making healthy choices. I drank very little alcohol. It was more just like socially. So it wasn't like I could, everyone's like, oh, drop the alcohol. And I dropped 10 pounds. And I'm like, well, I don't really have that to drop because I'm not someone who really drinks. I would eat the vegetables and the proteins and, my carbohydrates, I was watching them. So I was like, what is going on here? And I felt like a lot of the weight was even coming more like in my abdomen area. And as I started reading a book, Fast Like a Girl.
Right.
I read that on my trip out to New Orleans. We were going away on that April. I felt like it was talking to me, the whole book. Like I just felt like every part of it made sense. I felt like it kind of brought to light like why I was gaining the weight that I was, and the changes kind of just being my age and where I was in metabolism and being perimenopausal and all of that. Like it just really did make sense scientifically to me. And so that book really spoke to me, and I kind of was enlightened by the fasting. And I had followed you kind of all along, and I was like, you know what, I think this is like a good chance for me to reach out to you and kind of see what your program's all about and how it would work in my lifestyle, if it would work. And I was just intrigued because you talked about many of the similarities that were in that book.
How did you feel? Like, I feel like there was like physical discomfort as well
Hmm.
as like weight that was
Hmm.
being struggled with.
Yeah, so I was always bloated. Like I felt like come the afternoon, it was like like I could tell you what time it was. It was like 2 o'clock hit, and I felt like I was 8 months pregnant. I just had like this gaseous distension in my belly. It was very uncomfortable. I'd be at work and I felt like it would just be there. And so much so, like I was like, I don't want to eat, I don't want to drink, I don't want to do anything. And it was just this very uncomfortable feeling. And it was regularly, like every afternoon, come 2 o'clock, no matter what I did differently. Um, and then when I was away on that trip, I had bought a dress. And I think what was humiliating to me or humbling to me was that I had
Mm,
bought it a size bigger for we had like a formal night. And when I went to put it on for that formal night, I ended up not wearing it because I didn't like how I looked in it. And I came out of the bathroom like with tears. And my husband thought like something serious had happened to my family. He's like, "What's going on?" And I just broke down and I was just like, "Listen, I don't like the way I look. I'm not happy in my own body. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but nothing is changing. I physically feel tired. Like everything feels like
mhm.
an effort. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to start my day. It was just, I felt like I had hit that rock bottom. Like I was depressed. I was down. And I'm usually, I have two very active boys. I just felt like I didn't have time for them, or if they wanted to go play or whatever, I just wasn't up for it because I just didn't have the energy for it. And I was just really sick of not having the energy, always feeling weighed down, feeling
Mm,
bloated and uncomfortable.
yep.
Um, and then I was kind of like losing motivation in my workouts. Like I was like doing them because I felt like, oh, this is going to make me better. But at the same time, it was hard to get through those workouts. Um, and it was funny because I was about to go into doing a workout that was like a 30-minute, very difficult workout that I would struggle with before COVID. And I was like, that's it. I'm just going to do it. Like my thing was like, I'm going to do a 30-minute hard workout and just figure it out. And after I read that book, I think that would have been the worst track that I took because
Yep.
it talked all about like the stress in the body and the cortisol and what the cortisol does to your body and under those stress, hormones. And I'm thankful like that I didn't do that because that was the point that I got to is like maybe if I just kill myself in a workout, like I'll start to
Yeah.
see that needle tip the other way and feel better and maybe lose that bloating feeling. I had gone to my doctor and asked her for like a multivitamin. Like I was like, maybe it's a supplement thing, like I need to take something. And her answer was, well balanced diet, which I kind of felt like I was doing that already. So I didn't like that
Yep.
answer.
Yep.
Um, so I was just searching at that point, searching for anything. And I was really willing to try anything at that point just
Yep.
because I just didn't like how I felt emotionally, mentally, physically, all of it.
Yep.
Um, I didn't want to go to social things. I didn't want to be around people,
Mm. Oh,
because I didn't want to be tempted to eat food that I didn't really want, or drink alcohol that I felt was only going to compromise what I was already feeling.
yep.
But also I just didn't like being around people. I wasn't happy. Um, and so, yeah, it got really hard. Like it was just a point that I think got really hard.
Absolutely. I just remember when we had our conversation, like that you were kind of doing like everything right and like
Hmm.
really like working hard, being really disciplined, being really consistent, and
Hmm.
just like, you know, kind of the frustration that goes along with that.
Yeah.
Question number two, which you like started to kind of like go into that a little bit, but was what made you reach out to me?
So I feel like I had reached out maybe like a couple of years prior and just asked you about the program, and then it kind of just fell by the wayside. But
Yep.
I felt I had gone on, I looked at a couple of things on your website and I just trusted you. Like I knew you, right? So a couple of my friends had done, certain diet programs and pills and supplements that they were taking and shake programs. But the person that they were working with was in Colorado or, somewhere in this country, never met them, just see them on Facebook, post results, and I was just like, I don't want to put something in my body and not be able to have like a conversation and some level of trust with someone. So the fact that I knew you and, grew
Yep.
up with you
Yep.
was, I think, probably my biggest push to reaching out to you. Um, and then when I went on your website and I saw other classmates that had been through your program and their results and knowing them, I was like,
Yep.
wow, because again, like you would see that on Facebook, but you don't know those people. And there's so many ways to kind of, you know, make those things come out on Facebook. And, so I think the fact that I knew
Yep.
people that you had worked with and I knew you, and I trusted you, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to reach out, have that conversation. And I again, like I remember crying on the phone. Like I remember, being just a few words into my conversation and kind of crying and just saying like, I just need help. Like I want help. Like I don't, and after talking with you, I felt like the program was so feasible in my
Mhm.
lifestyle and
Mhm.
like wasn't going to be taking like artificial pills and shakes for the rest of my life. Like I just felt like it was going to be something that could become a lifestyle change. Um, and I was just really excited to hear about it.
That's awesome. And that's, I'll just say that's huge. Like, and I should have kind of started that with like the fact that like, we grew up together, like graduated together. And uh what was I gonna say? Like it's hard to know what's legitimate. And so it's like if you do know someone and like you said, like other classmates, I feel like CConk is like, Massachusetts is like such a strong connection. And so it's
Yeah.
like I think that yes, that kind of social proof through people that
Hmm.
I think is really compelling. Absolutely. So that makes a lot of sense.
I would snack a lot. So I would come home and be hungry and I would snack a lot. So that was
Yeah.
kind of my downfall. Is like when I got home, if I from work, I would, I have two kids. So there's like junk food around my house constantly. And I'd say, oh, I'm just gonna have one or two. And I ended up like two, three, four, five handfuls later. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I would eat dinner. And then at nighttime I would lay down. I would be like, okay, I'm still hungry. So I felt like it would kind of catch up to me
Yep.
towards the end of the day. And so then I'd be going to bed having just eaten something, or snacking again at night after dinner. Um, and I will say it was crazy how it went from that to like having clarity, like at work, like not having those headaches and not eating. Like I'm like, wait, I haven't eaten anything, and I feel like crystal clear my thoughts, like I'm a physical therapist, so like remembering like multiple treatments and like documenting on them. Like after I saw two or three patients, like I just could not believe how clear I could think, um,
Hmm.
and and the energy levels, and you know, and it was mind blowing to me. I'm like, I haven't eaten, but I feel so much better. And I wasn't having to get up and force food in my body when maybe I didn't want some. And I knew hey, if I wanted to sip, now I have electrolytes in the morning. Like, oh, that's tasty. Like, and it's water. I mean, I love water. So I'm like, okay, this is great. But I'm not forcing myself to have a breakfast to start my day when I'm not hungry. And then,
Hmm.
it really did blow my mind how I wouldn't have those cravings to snack and want food, and feel totally okay. Um, yeah, and never like those headaches like that. Like I said, the headaches and the clarity in your thoughts, I feel like was a big thing. Because I would very often get that when I couldn't eat, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's right, I haven't had time to
Hmm.
sit down," and
Hmm.
and then I would just throw back my shake, and then I would feel bloated, and I'm like, "Ugh, now I feel bloated, but I don't have my headache." Um, so I think that's more or less like kind of how I felt before and how I was eating before.
Yep.
And that change, I think once I started, a week or two into the program, it was like those immediate
Whatever you want to
changes.
say back about that. But I kind of wonder about that for people at times where it's like, oh my God, I had, wicked cravings. Like my sugar burner story is like, I needed to eat every couple hours. I had Cliff bars
Okay.
on me constantly. Like
Hmm.
I ate before bed. I woke up in the middle of the night and ate. Like I was hungry all the time. And to
Hmm.
like go from that to being not hungry,
Right.
like is a
Yeah.
little nuts.
So I was someone who I felt like I had to eat breakfast, right? Like I had to start my day with a food, and I would struggle at putting something like healthy, like if I didn't have time, and I was like hyper focused on the protein, so like having eggs and things like that. But sometimes I was eating and I wasn't hungry in breakfast, but I felt like if I don't start my day with a breakfast, like I'm not starting my day right. So
Hmm.
I was kind of the opposite, that I was like feeling like I had to put food in my body to start my day, because isn't that what we're supposed to do, is have a breakfast, whether we're hungry or not. But then like come like lunch, if it was a work day, I could sometimes go the full day, and then I would kind of be struggling to put stuff in my body like on my way home with like sharp, like bulging headaches, and like or be at work
Mm.
and not be able to think clearly because I was hungry, right? But I didn't have time to eat. So I started taking like a lot of bars with me, things that I could just of feeling that way.
That's so
And it
good.
is crazy because, yeah, if you said to me at the beginning, like, you're going to go, you know, 12 hours, you're only going to eat once a day. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people are like, wait, you only eat once a day? And I'm like, yeah, but you feel comfortable enough to do that. Like, it's not uncomfortable. Like, I'm not like, you get like that people looking at you like, oh, you're starving yourself to feel that way. And it's
Yes.
like, no, I'm not starving myself. Like, it's very comfortable. And I tell people like, friends that have asked about the program, I'm like, if I'm hungry at lunch and I want to eat a lunch, I'll eat a lunch. Like, I'm not going to not eat lunch, but very often the majority of the time am only eating one time a day. And comfortably doing so. I'm like, it's nothing about it is uncomfortable.
That's so
So,
awesome. That's so
um,
awesome.
but yeah, I was right there with you thinking like, wait a minute, not eating, like only eating 2 meals a day? Wait, only eating one meal? Wait, going 12, 14 hours without eating? Like that just seems crazy. And I
Completely.
have a friend who would do that. She would do sometimes like 2, 3 day fasts and she would talk about how hard it was. And I was like, I can't even imagine. And now I've done 2 day fasts, 48 hours and it doesn't feel hard. I mean, it's a nice kind of reset. I kind
Yeah.
of look forward to it when I do it. So yeah, it's crazy how your body changes and that whole philosophy of like no longer being a sugar burner and being a fat burner. And again, that book went very much into that, like how much energy comes from fat versus sugar
Yep.
and
Yep.
quick bursts of energy versus long-term energy. And
Yep.
it's so true when you feel that in your own body, like to have that energy and to have that longevity of not needing
Like
food.
time, energy, stress level, like
Hmm.
feeling of freedom, like flexibility. We'll talk about weight and stuff like that. Going clothes shopping, um, how is life different? What is life like now
Mm.
in those capacities?
Yeah, my energy is way different and it's definitely something that like I've noticed a big change from this that it
Awesome.
stays. I don't have like those ebbs and flows of like dips in my energy at certain points in the day. I feel like I get up and I'm ready to go and once I kind of start my routine, I'm like, okay, this is easy. And I have the energy to do it. I I love the flexibility. Like
Yay.
there was like a couple times, like my husband one time took the day out of work and was like, "Oh, I was hoping we could do lunch. Will you eat lunch?" And I was like, "Sure." And we'd go out and we'd have a nice, fabulous lunch. And then come dinner time, I wasn't really hungry and I would not have dinner. And the flexibility of choosing when your one meal a day is nice.
Mhm.
And not feeling that guilt. I love that. Like I just love that, you know, there was a lot of times that like before this program, like if I had pizza or I went out for ice cream or my kids wanted pasta and all this stuff, like I felt guilty eating it, and maybe portioned off like less, and that would make me more hungry. It'd make me want it more because I was kind of depriving myself of it. Whereas now I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm only having one meal a day, and you know what, so be it if that's what I choose to have in that meal. Like I know kind of how to watch in the next 3, 4 days, to be more mindful maybe of what I'm putting in at that dinner time. Or that meal, I should say. So the flexibility of being able to be at social events and enjoy those social events and not have
Yep.
that guilt of
Yep.
what you're doing at those social events and not really having that stress of, oh my gosh, I have a cookout to go to. What am I going to eat? Knowing that I have that flexibility in my schedule to be able to account for that. Um, I was struggling with like going away, like with the sports events, like, oh my gosh, I'm away from home. Like, how's that going to go on vacation? How's that going to go? Um, it to me became very simple once I learned like to pack, the MCT oil. They have individual packets. Okay, I'll take, so many of those. I'll take electrolyte packets. I'll take, um, my salt packets. I'll have all of those things available to me that I need. But I can sit at an event and not feel like I don't have food or what am I going to eat that's healthy while I'm away on this trip because I have all my tools with me to be able to use. And, if they do like a team dinner at lunch, I can enjoy that with the team and I'm not going to be the one that's saying, "Oh no, I'm not eating now," but then maybe not eat at dinner type of thing. So the flexibility was big for me, like just knowing that I can do that. But I, one other thing I was going to say, a question that you had mentioned, and now it just left me. Um, oh shoot. Um, oh, clothes. Um, the fact that I need to go shopping for like so many sizes less, but liberating that I could get the fact that I need to go shopping for like so many sizes less, but liberating that I could get rid of so many clothes. And I remember packing for my first trip, and I was like, before this program, I would try everything on and be like, oh my God, nothing fits. Everything's tight. What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? And then I remember packing for that next trip, and I was like, oh my goodness, nothing fits. Like, it's all loose. Like, I have to go buy stuff. Like, I have to get stuff for this trip. Was like,
Wow.
holy moly. Or like everything I put on felt comfortable and felt loose. I was like, wow, this is so great. This summer, I'm like, you know what? My thing was like, I'm going to be proud of the body that I'm in. I'm wearing like bikinis to the beach. I'm like, I haven't worn a bikini in years, but I was like, I would do it on my vacations, but I was like, I don't want to do it around people, like friends and stuff. Like I still felt a little insecure, but I was just like, no, like I'm proud of this. Like, I feel good in my body. I feel good in my skin. I feel good to be there, and I'm a mom of two kids and I can still feel that way. I think that was like really good to feel that. You're out and about and so many people you almost feel like I don't like hearing all that attention. I've never had that, but so many people, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, you look amazing. I would get asked and I'd be like, oh my gosh, where do I begin? And telling people about the program, like, and how I always tell them how easy it is. Like, it's not hard. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like so many other programs, counting your calories, counting what you're putting in your body, exercising 5 times a week, rigorous exercises, not rigorous exercise. I mean, all you could do in the beginning of this program was walk. I'm like, walk? Really? I do that all the time. I would love to just be able to walk, like not feeling that guilt of getting workouts in. Like, it's just so crazy to me how easy it felt and how the
Yay.
results were so huge. I did not have a big amount of weight to lose. So that was my other thing is I was like, I don't have 50, 60 pounds to lose. So people that I knew that had that were losing it and I wasn't. And I was just like, that's what was so frustrating is I was like, I wanted to lose 20 pounds. It didn't feel like a lot, but oh my goodness, the changes in my body in losing that weight was amazing. Like I took pictures, I shared pictures with you. Like I remember when I started the program, I was like, I'm going to take pictures of how I look right now because I want to see the difference. Like I want to be able to look back at this and know the difference. And I couldn't believe the difference in the pictures. Like I knew I felt much better, but I just could not believe the difference in the pictures, so the clothes didn't lie and compliments and how I felt didn't lie, but seeing those pictures and having those visuals of wow, it was just amazing. And I did it kind of, I think up until, I don't remember when the last time I did it was like 6 months or something, but into it, but it was crazy. Um, and I loved sharing those pictures because you know what, if you knew me, you saw me. And even I remember my mom was like, I didn't know you looked like that. I'm like, I know. I'm like, you didn't, but that's kind of what I woke up every morning feeling. And I know what it is to feel that. And that's why when people ask me about the program, I'm like, I get you. Like, people are like, I didn't ever think like you had that much weight to lose. I mean, no one ever looked at me like being someone that needed to lose a lot of weight, but you know how you feel, and that 20 pounds can feel like 100 to you, and so I was excited to talk about the program and what I had been through and what I had done and how much it helped me mentally, physically. And the weight was, I always said like the weight was kind of like low priority for me. Like I just wanted to feel better. Like darn it, I just wanted to wake up in the morning and want to get out of my bed. I wanted to wake up in the morning and be around people. I'm a very social person. Like I didn't like who I was and that I was avoiding social situations. I
Mm.
was so those are all the things that I think from this program that were more important to me than the weight. I mean, I obviously wanted to lose the weight. Everyone goes into it wanting to lose that, but the other things like just were so much more important for me to feel those things and share those things with friends and
Would you
family that were
recommend
asked.
this program?
Would I? I have recommended it to so many people. um, I hands down, like, I mean,
Okay.
for me, it was such an important change. My husband was like, it's so nice to see you happy. It's so
that.
nice to see you smiling. It's so nice to, have you feel good about yourself again. Like, um, in so many ways, like aside from the whole weight, like just feeling good again, like, wanting to go out on a date, wanting to be out with friends, like wanting to do those things. I remember that day very clearly when I called you and how low and low I felt, the lowest of the low. Um, and thinking like, could anyone help me? Can I get out of this hole? And then in 5 short weeks, I had made such progress towards those goals and felt like this program was easily able to be my lifestyle, was
Yeah.
sustainable. That was my thing. Like, you hear about the keto diets and this diet, and, can you sustain that? Can you continue to do that? Because, yeah, it's 5 weeks and, you can easily go right back to doing your old habits. But it wasn't like there was nothing about it that felt difficult for me. By that point in the 5 weeks, I was like ready to continue. I felt very independent and able to continue
Awesome.
doing this on my own, um, and seeing the results that I wanted to see and feeling the way that I wanted to feel. And it felt so easy, like
Yeah.
to sustain that. Like it just amazingly felt so easy. So when I talk to people about the program, I'm like, well, how much do you want to know? Like, where do you want me to
Yeah.
begin? And I'm like,
How much
and you
time do you
tell,
have? Oh.
like, I only 1 meal a day. How do you do that? And it's like, I'm like, there's so much more to that, or I have like a couple of friends that, okay, I'm gonna try to fast. I'm like, well, no, it's a process. Like it's a process to get there. And they would ask me a bunch of questions. I'm like, you're not doing the process. Like the 5 weeks to me was so important to get to that point. And I was eating 2 meals a day, if I remember, like at the end of my 5 weeks. I don't think I went to 1 meal a day immediate. I don't
No,
remember when I
no.
transitioned to that. But when people ask me like, what do you do? You only eat once. Like I'm like, but that was like I had to work into that. I had to get to that point. But I have recommended this program hands down to so many
Yeah.
people. Um, I've I know friends have done it and seen
Yeah.
similar results and been very happy that they did it. I've talked to them through the program. I've also at some points like, answered questions for them, but I'm like, I feel like were so amazing and always being there and easily accessible. And um I remember standing in, I think, Subway or something and been like, what do I order here? Tell me, help me. Here's the menu. Like at my fingertips when I needed it was just great. It never felt like I was like alone or had a question. I had no
Great.
hesitation in reaching out and immediately got my answers answered, or questions answered. I'm sorry, but um, I felt by the time I was done with the program, I felt very established where I needed to be in a point that I felt 1,000 times better than I did in that very low April morning
Mhm.
when I talked to you from a hotel crying. Um, I felt like I was very empowered by the whole thing and definitely
Yeah.
in a point in my life, in a place in my life where I felt very comfortable again, and excited for what was ahead. Um, and so, yes, I've talked to many people and encouraged many people. Um, I talk about it's a short window of time. I think the hardest thing with like friends and peers that I've talked to about it is we're all similar that you know, moms, we have children, we are constantly spending money on our children and putting them in programs that cost like these crazy amount of money, but we never take time to take care of ourselves, and we're looking for that quick fix for ourselves. And spending money on ourselves is very difficult. I know when I get my hair done, I feel like, oh my God, I'm spending how much money on my hair, but it's like we need to be able to do some of those things to take care of ourselves. And, you know, having the support of my husband, I remember he was like, whatever it takes for you to feel better. Like, I want you to feel better. Like, you need to do it. So I know sometimes that's like a hard thing, I think, for us is to spend the money on ourselves to
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah.
But I tried to like approach it of like, you're spending that money, but it's for a lifetime of a change. And it's a short amount of money for a short amount of time, but then like the longevity of what the effects are going to be and how you can continue to sustain this and continue to do this. I mean, now I say like all I really pay for right now is the supplements that I pay for each, to continue because I do still feel that they're very helpful for me. So I continue to use those. And then the coffee, my choice of coffee, I still get the bulletproof coffee because I
Mhm.
love it. Part of it, like that piece of it, like, there's savings for down the
Totally.
road. And I can't tell you like each and every friend that has done the program through talking with me, I
Mhm.
have not heard one person like say that they regretted it. They're all very happy with where they are. They all are very excited to talk. They're talking to their friends. I mean,
Love
it's
it.
so easy to see people around you to see the positive changes and they want to know more, so
Yeah,
you can't help yourself but talk more about the program. So,
love that.
um, but yes, no, hands down, 110%. Get yourself out of a hole, like feel the lowest of the low. I don't know, but yes, and it's a good group, to keep kind of reaching out and through Facebook
Mhm.
and social media, like to be able to ask questions. And we're all a little different and do things a little differently, but I do feel like we all kind of have like that same agenda of where we want to be and how we want to feel, and good to feel the way that we do. So um,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. That's so fantastic. Think is like I try to make this, I mean, it's your body. So it's like it feels easy because it's natural, and I try to
Hmm.
make the process like simple, and to be as, like you said, like accessible as possible. Um, and just to like make sure that you're solid on what's happening. What was I gonna say? uh yeah, and I recognize like the people, women that I work with the most are busy moms, like over 40, and so it's just like, you don't need more to do, like you don't need more workouts, you don't need, like you said, to like measure and track shit. Like that can
Hmm.
happen, like if you really want to, if we're doing things a little more like, in a fine-tuned fashion regarding sports or, particular goals, but it's not necessary. And I think that my whole goal is to create like fat burners for life, because it's how we're meant to be for life.
Hmm.
And so anyway, and I feel like you're just such a testament to the fact that like, not only are you like a busy mom of two, like, working professional, travel, sports, like it's like, and the fact that like you're not only doing it as your lifestyle, but you've done it for long enough. Like, so Caryn knows these timelines, but there are particular timelines with fat burning. So it's like it takes like 9 to 10 days to get into a fat burning mode. So regarding this whole like process, it takes at the 3 week mark, it's like we're getting 80% of the benefit. At the 6 month mark, we're getting 90%. And at a year plus, we're getting 100. So it's like, so Caryn is now like at and beyond the 100% mark. And so, like, what's so cool about that is that my estimation, and I feel like what you're kind of reflecting is that, it's easy enough, it's like rewarding enough to try it, to stick with it, and to just keep like allowing this state to kind of get better. And I love that, again, I feel like I say a lot of the same things on repeat, but like that this saves time and it saves money. And so,
Hmm.
like, you talking about like, yep, there's a few things that I use, with regularity, and then I eat less, like I shop less.
Hmm.
Um, and I just think that like it's just so efficient. And I think busy moms like need that. And I just think that like, and the reason why I think busy moms should like run the planet is because they can't waste time. Like they can't like kind of futz around with shit that's like ineffective. And so I just think that this is like, it's suitable for like every human, but I think it like really works for women that have like no time and
Right.
like, a ton of responsibilities. But Caryn, I wanted to ask just to like, so I know you said you started at the end of April in 2004. And so where are we? May, June, July. So a year and 3 months. And
Hmm.
so, Caryn, when you started, so we're, if I can say this, if I can say our age,
Yes,
okay.
that's fine.
I said this, so Brooke did this with me, and it's like, is this okay? 48. And may I
Hmm.
ask you where you started? So, like, I know we've talked about size change, which has been amazing. Um, where were you when you started, weight wise, size wise?
I think I was like at 157,
Yep.
and my goal weight was to get to 130. Because I felt like that's where I was before after children, and I always felt very comfortable at that weight. And
Yep.
I through this program have been more towards like the low 120s, and kind of hung out there. And I didn't want to lose more than that, for
Mhm.
me. So I would say like 125 is kind of where I sit now. Is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was averaging like in kind of like 8 to 12, 8 to 10 kind of size wise. And now like I bought some zeros, which I'm like, what is this? But it's like crazy. Like I'm like, this particular pair of jeans, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try the smaller size. It just feels so weird to me. I've never been that. So,
Oh,
it's crazy, like the clothing part of it, like how much as my waistline like trickled down. Um, uh,
that's
and then
amazing.
what was the other question? You were talking about like the sizes and the weight and stuff like that. But yeah,
Maybe.
I feel like I've stayed kind of in that range, like in that 125 middle range. Um, and I'm kind of in that, let's say two, like a size two. So down from like a size eight to a size
Amazing.
two
It's
is probably
amazing.
like, where I kind of like land.